The first snow had come early that year, painting the forest in a blinding white that stretched endlessly in every direction. As Martha trudged carefully through the thick drifts, she felt a strange stillness, almost as if the world had paused, holding its breath. Something about the silence pressed against her, making her heart beat faster, a mixture of curiosity and unease. She tightened her scarf and moved forward, sensing that today the forest held a secret she wasn't yet ready to uncover. Have you ever wondered what it feels like to stumble upon life in its rawest form? Or what you might do if that life was wild, unpredictable, and possibly dangerous? Martha had thought about these questions before, but now, seeing tracks that weren't quite human, the answers became clear. Curiosity could not be ignored, yet caution was vital. She knew she would approach slowly, respecting the fragile balance of fear and empathy that the forest demanded. Suddenly, a faint sound caught her attention, soft and irregular, like a whimper muffled by the snow. Martha froze, her breath visible in the freezing air, trying to locate the source. A patch of brown fur peeked from behind a snow-covered bush, and as she knelt closer, her heart sank. A young bear, one paw awkwardly bent and stained with crimson, struggled to move through the drifts. The sight was horrifying yet oddly captivating. Martha's instincts screamed to run, yet something deeper urged her to stay. The bear's eyes met hers, wide and frightened, yet not hostile. Could it sense her hesitation, or was it simply frightened of the world? In that moment the forest's silence seemed to hum with life, and Martha felt an unexpected pull of empathy she hadn't experienced before. As she inched forward, the bear flinched, but did not flee. Its breathing was labored, shallow clouds forming in the icy air with each desperate exhale. Martha wondered how long it had been suffering alone. How many nights it had faced the cold without anyone noticing? The questions weighed heavily on her, yet the answers became painfully obvious. The bear needed help, and if she didn't act, no one else would. Martha carefully knelt in the snow, keeping her movements slow and deliberate. She murmured softly, hoping the sound of her voice would calm the creature rather than provoke fear. The bear's trembling began to ease slightly, a tiny sign that trust, fragile and tentative, could be forged even in the most frozen moments. The forest, for a brief heartbeat, seemed to hold its judgment, watching the fragile exchange between human and animal. A flicker of hope warmed her chest despite the icy surroundings. She examined the bear's paw and saw the raw wound, realizing that every step it had taken in the snow had been agony. Her mind raced. How could she possibly help without putting herself in danger? Yet the answer, simple and unavoidable, was clear. She couldn't leave it behind. Empathy, not fear, would guide her next move. With a deep breath, Martha reached closer, careful not to startle the bear further. In its eyes she saw a mixture of pain and a silent plea, and something shifted within her, a quiet understanding that some encounters change you forever. Today the forest had revealed its secret, and she knew instinctively that neither of them would walk away unchanged. In the endless white a bond had begun, fragile yet undeniable. Martha's heart pounded as she weighed her options. The bear was clearly in pain, unable to move without wincing, and the snowstorm was beginning to intensify. Every instinct screamed that approaching a wild animal could be dangerous, yet turning away felt impossible. Could she really leave it here alone and defenseless? And if she tried to help, how would she even begin? The answers were not simple, but she scanned the surrounding forest, looking for anything she could use: a blanket, branches, anything that could shield the bear from the cold. The wind whipped around her, biting her cheeks, yet she felt a strange clarity in the midst of the storm. Sometimes fear is not a signal to retreat, but a signal to act with care. She had never felt so acutely that one choice could ripple through both their lives forever. The bear watched her movements closely, each step measured, each gesture met with cautious curiosity. Its trembling had slowed, a sign that it somehow understood she meant no harm. Martha knelt a little closer, murmuring softly, trying to convey a calm reassurance. Could trust exist between a human and a wild animal in such fragile circumstances? The answer for this moment was a quiet yes, glowing faintly like a candle in the snow. She hesitated for only a heartbeat before deciding. Fear could not dictate this encounter. Empathy had to guide her. Slowly she removed her scarf and carefully draped it over the bear's shoulder, offering warmth without overwhelming it. The bear flinched slightly, but stayed, and a flicker of relief surged through her chest. Sometimes the smallest gestures make the biggest difference. As she looked around, Martha realized she was utterly alone, yet strangely not afraid. The forest seemed to acknowledge her choice, the silence shifting from ominous to expectant. She spoke softly, wondering if the bear understood her words or simply the tone of her voice. Perhaps in moments like this, words are less important than intention, and actions carry the truth. The decision was made. She would stay with the bear until help arrived. She could see its exhaustion, the way it struggled to lift its head, yet in its eyes was a quiet resilience. Martha understood then that survival sometimes depends on the courage to act even when the outcome is uncertain. She would not abandon this creature. She could not. Hours seemed to pass in minutes as she tended to the bear, adjusting the scarf, clearing snow from its wound, whispering encouragement. Every small movement was a negotiation of trust, a dance of patience and care. She realized that life often presents choices that test the boundaries of fear and compassion, and this was one of those rare, defining moments. As night began to settle, the storm softened, leaving the forest eerily serene. The bear lay quietly beside her, exhausted but alive, and Martha felt an unexpected bond solidifying. In that frozen wilderness, a fragile connection had been formed, one built on courage, empathy, and the unspoken understanding that some encounters are meant to change your life forever. Martha watched the bear, her hands still trembling from the cold and adrenaline. She expected it to retreat, to lash out, to reject her help, but instead it shifted slightly closer, almost leaning into the warmth of her scarf. A shiver ran through her, not from the cold, but from a sudden realization. The bear trusted her. Could a wild animal truly communicate gratitude without words? The answer, she felt deep in her chest, was yes. The bear lifted its head slowly, eyes locking with hers, and in that gaze was something profound, a silent acknowledgment of shared vulnerability. Martha reached out cautiously, letting her fingers hover near its fur. The bear didn't flinch, but instead nudged her hand gently, a tiny, deliberate gesture. Shock coursed through her. Could such a simple touch carry the weight of connection and understanding? Apparently it could. Her heart swelled as the bear repeated the gesture, nudging her hand again, almost insistently this time. A lump formed in her throat. All the fear, all the hesitation from earlier melted into awe. She had expected instinct, wildness, perhaps even aggression, but this, the bear seeking comfort from her, was far beyond anything she could have imagined. It was as if the forest itself had orchestrated this moment. Martha spoke softly, almost whispering, telling the bear that it was safe, that she would not leave it alone. The bear seemed to understand, closing its eyes briefly, and then leaning slightly against her. The trust between them grew stronger with every heartbeat. She realized then that empathy can transcend species, that understanding can exist even without words, and that the smallest gestures can create profound bonds. Hours passed like minutes. Every breath of the bear, every subtle movement felt like a conversation. Martha realized she was no longer simply a rescuer. She was a participant in something extraordinary. Could this encounter change her perspective on life, on connection, on trust? The answer was clear. It already had. Every fear she carried melted into a newfound respect for the resilience and sensitivity of life around her. Suddenly, the bear did something completely unexpected. It slowly extended a paw toward her, brushing her arm with delicate precision. Martha gasped softly, her pulse racing. In that fleeting, intimate motion, she felt a silent promise, survival, trust, and gratitude intertwined. She understood that the bear's gesture wasn't just a thank you, it was an unspoken story, a life lesson carved in fur and frost. The storm had subsided entirely, leaving the forest bathed in the soft glow of early evening. The bear rested beside her, calm and watchful, occasionally lifting its head to check her reaction. Martha felt an overwhelming mix of humility and wonder. She had come to the forest expecting solitude, perhaps even a quiet adventure, but she had found something infinitely more profound, a moment that would forever shape her understanding of life. As darkness approached, Martha realized that this encounter was not an ending, but a beginning. The bear's unexpected gestures had shifted something deep within her, altering the way she saw trust, vulnerability, and compassion. In the silent white wilderness, a bond had formed, fragile yet indelible, one that would leave a permanent mark on her soul, and perhaps on the soul of the bear as well. Martha carefully adjusted the scarf around the bear, feeling the warmth seep into both of them. Each movement was deliberate, cautious, yet tender. She noticed how its breathing had slowed, the tremors in its body diminishing as it began to trust her completely. In that quiet, icy forest, a remarkable transformation was underway not just for the bear, but for Martha herself. She gently examined the bear's paw again, this time more confident. The wound was raw, but less inflamed than she feared. Every careful touch seemed to reassure the animal, its eyes reflecting gratitude and trust. Martha marveled at how resilience could manifest in a creature so vulnerable, and how empathy could flow from one being to another in the most unexpected ways. Hours turned into what felt like moments. Martha spoke softly, telling the bear that it was safe, that the cold and pain would not define this moment. The bear responded with subtle gestures, nudges, gentle eye contact, even a soft huff of comfort. The connection between them deepened, a bond forged in shared survival and mutual understanding that transcended species. The storm had left the forest eerily calm, and snowflakes still clung lightly to branches. Martha noticed that her own fear had faded entirely, replaced by a strange, profound clarity. She realized that empathy wasn't just an emotion, it was action. Every choice she made for the bear, Every careful movement reinforced the invisible thread connecting them, stronger than any instinct alone. At one point, the bear shifted, resting its head near her knee. Martha felt a warmth spread through her chest she hadn't known she needed. The simple act of being trusted, of having her care accepted, changed something deep within her. It was a reminder that even in the coldest, harshest environments, connection could thrive. Martha paused for a moment, reflecting on the fragility of life around her. The bear's resilience, combined with its growing trust in her, mirrored the strength humans often forget they possess. This encounter was teaching her patience, courage, and the quiet power of compassion. Every glance, every gesture of the bear was a lesson in understanding without words. By evening, the bear began to move more confidently, testing its injured paw with careful steps. Martha's heart lifted as she observed the small victories, each one a milestone in recovery. In turn, she felt a subtle transformation within herself, a growing sense of purpose, a recognition that life's most profound lessons often arrive through unexpected encounters. As twilight settled, casting long shadows across the snow, Martha realized that the bond between them was unbreakable. This bear, once alone and suffering, had not only survived but had changed her life forever. In the quiet majesty of the forest, she understood that true connection born of trust, patience, and empathy could transcend fear, species, and circumstance. Morning light filtered through the trees, casting a soft golden glow on the snow. The bear stirred, testing its paw with growing confidence, and Martha felt a swell of pride. Days of care, patience, and empathy had led to this moment. The forest, once silent and foreboding, now seemed to hum with life, as if celebrating their fragile bond. She knelt beside the bear, brushing snow from its fur, and noticed how it looked at her not with fear, but with recognition and trust. In that gaze, Martha saw a reflection of her own transformation, courage born of compassion, strength rooted in connection. Could one small act truly change a life? In this moment, the answer was undeniable. The bear took a few steps, then paused, turning its head as if to acknowledge her presence. Martha realized it was time to let nature take its course. Though part of her wanted to hold on to this fragile connection forever, she understood that true care sometimes means stepping back, allowing life to unfold naturally. As she stood, the bear approached slowly, brushing against her leg once more. The gesture was gentle but deliberate, a silent farewell and a promise of remembrance. Martha's eyes stung with tears, a mix of sadness and gratitude. In the simplicity of that moment, she understood the profound lesson of their encounter. Empathy can heal, and trust can transcend words. She whispered softly, promising the bear that it would always be remembered, and took a final step back. The forest seemed to exhale with her, the silence now comforting rather than ominous. She watched as the bear slowly disappeared into the trees, each step a testament to resilience, courage, and the unexpected beauty of life's fragile connections. Martha lingered, feeling the weight and warmth of the experience settle into her chest. The encounter had changed her, leaving an indelible mark on her heart. She knew she would carry the lesson forever, that compassion, patience, and empathy could bridge even the widest divides between species, fear, and circumstance. As she finally turned to leave, the forest felt different, alive with possibility and quiet understanding. Every snow-covered branch, every rustle of distant wildlife reminded her of the bear and of the bond they had shared. Life, she realized, often rewards those willing to act with courage and care, even when the outcome is uncertain. Martha walked home slowly, the snow crunching beneath her boots, heart full of awe and gratitude. She had come seeking solitude and adventure, yet she left with a gift far greater, a living lesson in empathy, trust, and the enduring power of connection. That forest, that bear, and that winter day would forever remain a part of her soul. If you felt the magic of this snowy encounter and the bond between Martha and the bear, don't miss the next incredible animal story. Hit that subscribe button and join our journey of wonder and compassion.